Hello everyone and welcome to Fuse Room. I'm Alberto. In this video we're gonna talk about the Pulsar Audio Bundle. We're gonna use everything Pulsar Audio has been making for quite a while. It's a great French company making plugins for mixing and mastering. And we're gonna take a look at them pretending we're gonna mix a song without using anything else but their products. So let's get started. Here we are in Nuendo 12. I have a session loaded up, nothing's going on. I'm only gonna show you the routing and there's really nothing, just the tracks. We're gonna use Pulsar Audio plugins exclusively, although this is a template of mine that I have. So there's drums, guitars, bass, keys, and vocals. And everything is being routed to drums, bass, guitars, vocals, and keys. And then I have some effects that I've loaded from my mixing template and some, sub mixes and subgroups. We're not going to use all of them, obviously, but we're then sending them to tape, print, and Aurora. So I'm going to hide some of these because we're not using them. The organic, cybers, revs, inputs, grooves, perks, vocal squire, woodwinds, brass, strings, backing vocals I'm going to keep just because, and I'm going to keep acoustic guitars as well. I don't think we're going to need the old kicks and old snares because they are actually indeed all done. So I've accidentally hidden everything. Let's redo this. All LDVs, BGVs, all effects, mix, tape, print. Here we go. So this setup's pretty straightforward. The effects, as I said, come from my template. Everything is clean. There's no pre's, there's no inserts, there's no sends, there's no actual groups and VCAs. I should do this probably. So these with bass. These are gonna be my guitars, these are gonna be my keys, and these are gonna be my vocals. Awesome. I have 2-3 spare VCAs and a couple spare effects sometimes, but what we're gonna do is just exclusively use Pulsar Audio. So what we're gonna just start with is pressing play, right? In the middle of the song for no reason. And it doesn't work. My volume's really low, but the organ's gonna overwhelm the heck out of us. So let's bring these down, and I actually think we should remake some of the balances. So I'm gonna drop everybody down in the very old school way. And I'm just gonna keep kick, snare, overheads. We gotta balance stuff before and having fun. So maybe from the start, why not? Here. So these overheads are mono, the way I really like them. We should link them, call them overheads. We want to link volume. We're going to link probably sends, inserts, mute, soul, listen, yes, automation, routing, record, enable, and monitor. Why not? Now, these two are linked together, which is cool. So the first thing I'd like to do is probably I want to group these two together in a single channel instead of using two instances. Why not? Let's create a group track here. And it's an actual group track. It's a stereo. We're going to send it to actually all drums. We're going to call it outside of a folder and we're going to call it OH here. And we're going to send these two to our overheads. Right on. Now, even if they're grouped, and these also belongs to V drums, and this probably does no longer belong to, or maybe yes, let's do it this way. This track, which I'm gonna conveniently color brown, but like a lighter brown, is our overheads track. So it's a perfect scenario to actually use the Massive plugin on it, because the Massive passive is insane at delivering nice, I would say, all sort of like all-seeing eye overheads somehow. Sometimes when you mix stuff, you want to do overheads as cymbals, and some other times you want to have overheads, like in this genre maybe. It's more of a ballad, of country ballad, more of the overheads looking at the entire kit. So we gotta have just two extras, which is the kick and snare, so why not do this? They sound fine. Let me pan them. Now, obviously, they're being linked, and for some reason, my pan's linked as well. So I'm gonna unlink them. And voila. So how about we check phase with these two? Definitely better. So they are in phase. We are gonna do a solo exempt here because, you know, that's what needs to be done. So we defeat the solo on these things. And now we go with massive here. So we're starting off with massive just because it's the newest and it's the one I've opened. This has a convenient graph, you know, a display with also a sort of a spectrum analyzer. It's nice. I don't quite like to have these, but it's convenient that you can turn it off if you don't want it, or you can make it exclusive, you know, GUI element in your workflow. There's left and right that you can obviously bypass. You can solo them with the elusive headphone button. And there's obviously shelf and bells for low, warmth, presence, air. That's the names, the gain, bandwidth, typical massive passive stuff. You can auto gain. You can turn everything off or on. The low pass and high pass filters are here. There's two models of transformers, transformer 1 and 2, one being the original model and the two being sort of like a new version that they, you know, customized in modeling. Off obviously means off. You can work in mid-side or left to right, and you can link controls. You have faster, slow response of the spectrum, and then obviously you can turn on the balancing of the frequencies. The meters are really nice because you can also engage auto gain, and if you do so, obviously the, you know, the algorithm, your computer is gonna compensate for the massive, pun intended, changes in gain. I don't like to use auto gain. I usually like to gain stuff manually, but it's nice to have that and it works really nice. Then you have a drive, which is not, you know, present in the real unit, but it's quite nice if you want to use this unit just for color. Now in the 3 buttons top right, you have oversampling, which we're gonna engage right off the bat 4 times. Why not? The stepped gains, which I'm not gonna use, but the stepped frequencies, yes, I want them stepped. And then obviously all of the social stuff, because you people are weirdly social. That's what you want to do. So we're gonna hide these because that's the massive passive, the way I like to use it, but it's convenient that we can sometimes check, right, what I've done. Presets, all that stuff, we don't really care as much because they're self-explanatory. So our purpose here is to make these overheads sound like a better kit. So I'm gonna press play and do stuff to them. So it's pretty detailed already. I don't know if I'm gonna push air, but I usually do this because it offsets all of the choices I do in the lows and mids. It's a passive unit, so you know, the bands interact together up to a certain point. So I like to start with the highs because they're the most problematic frequencies. They sound legit, I gotta say, and I'm not totally fond of the highs of massive passive. So that's why I start from them. I work really hard to find something that adds to it. Let's keep going. Let's keep it this way. Let's try belling some body into it. So maybe 4.7, I'm partial, I really like this. Remember, these are not your overheads. This is your drum kit. Think drum kit. Still partial to the 4.7. Let's keep going. I want to see if I want to add 270 or maybe carve some room. There's not a lot of room. I might be going forward to it. Hear how nice that is? Maybe we gotta work the Q. It's really, really nice on overheads. I told you, like it's good. Hear how more defined this is. I don't want to auto gain though in the end because I want to get to the volume level where my overheads are healthy for mixing it, right? Now lows. I really like the 330. I'm gonna go 220 just because. I don't want these drums to sound like a virtual instrument. They have this pingy, hairy kind of thing that I don't quite like. But now you might be saying, why were you boosting 390 and then you moved to 820 and then had the low frequency do the 330? Because I know we got a kick channel. So for that reason, we really will take advantage of that channel for the extreme lows. So I'm borrowing the lows to do more of the warm stuff. I like this level. Let's check how loud I am. Remember, my green is -18 to 12 and yellow is 12 to 6. So green would be ideal. All right, we're safe. Let's try a kick here. And this kick we are going to integrate while having the overheads playing. I want to use some Massive anyway, just because. And we're gonna hide this. We're gonna not use oversampling this time, and everything else is fine as it is. So let's try this. Why not? And let's help the shelf with these other bell. Now some maybe 1.5. Maybe highs, no reason for it. Let's try an 8.2 bell all the way up. Well, there's a little more definition. I want to use the high pass just to see if I can clean it up. Think it's lost if we do it this way, right? I'm not gonna touch it. Let's see it this way. See the levels? Oh, well, I want to have these lows because I already know kind of the ballad I want to reach. Let's try and do another pulsar on the snare. Mu. Here we go. Okay, a little bit less gain maybe, so we have a final sort of drum set. I like it. I gotta say the snare is adding a lot. So I'm gonna keep this as it is, overheads, blah, blah, blah. The sum of these. We could even hide this too, but you know, there's not a lot of tracks. How about we do lead vocals now? That's how I kind of see it, just because I'm very fresh. So let's sort of prepare all of the tracks with these. I should really set these as my default, right? So set these preset as default. Okay, so the frequencies are not moving at all. Like I don't want to see them. And let's see where the vocals come in. Bar 20.
I wonder what you're doing right now. Seem to keep on entering my thoughts somehow.
Pretty classic. The 12K is the last shelf that doesn't have any weird S-shaped behavior. Look at this. If we go to 16 and then we go here on the shelf, look what the shelf does. It's a little bit of an S-shaped, right? The 12 is the last one that doesn't exhibit this behavior until it's kind of too late. Could be a good de-essing approach, you know, if you need something fixed here. But, you know, I don't like that. So the 12 is usually your bell. The 27 is really sharp, more of a troubleshooting thing. So let's try. It was nice, but I'm heading maybe for a bell kind of thing.
I wonder what you're doing.
Exactly. I want that spitty kind of thing. The 12 on a bell is nice. So now let's try and see if we can find some edge on the 2.2, maybe closer bell.
I wonder what you're doing.
I like this. I don't want to do anything else, but I know it will feel maybe not that warm. So let's try some hundreds just to know where these are.
I wonder what you're doing right now. Seem to keep on entering my thoughts somehow.
Right, so maybe we need a little bit less 50s.
I wonder what you're doing right now. I wonder what you're doing right now.
It just empowers the vocals so much. I don't use filters because I don't quite like them on the Massive Passive, but they're there. I mean, they sound legit. They do what they do. They're very, very effective. And I don't think there's a reason to do this. Who else is playing here? Maybe the 12. No, the 12 comes in sometimes. The electric seems to be the one that plays the most. So now I'm gonna go for it. electric, still massive. I mean, it's kind of a weird way of doing it, right? But it's fine. Apparently the default didn't kick in.
I wonder what you're doing right now. Seem to keep on entering my thoughts.
So this guitar is lacking a lot, but I think it's supported by something else. It doesn't make sense that this guitar sounds like this. There has to be some other instrument that leads better.
I wonder what you're doing right now. Seem to keep on entering my. I wonder what you're doing right now. Seem to keep on entering my.
Okay. Well, I want to make a big deal out of this guitar anyway, because it just sounds a little bit too weak.
I wonder what you're doing right now. Seem to keep on entering my thoughts somehow. I'm trying to get some work done.
All right, we gotta, like, why does, the drum kit change so much? There has to be something that has to be fixed. We got like a shift, right? Don't care about that right now. I wanna see if I get some hundreds in the guitars.
I wonder what you're doing right now. Seem to keep on entering my thoughts somehow. I'm trying to get some work done, but I ain't having much of a run, 'cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to.
I like this. I like the bell better. So we're missing the bass. And obviously, this is getting constructed, along the way. I kind of like it moved there. I want to try and get maybe some effects later. Let's keep it. I mean, it's all theoretical, right? Because who would do like a mix this way? Maybe it sounds fantastic though. So bass.
I wonder what you're doing right now. Seem to keep on entering my thoughts somehow. I'm trying to get some work done, but I ain't having much of a run, 'cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to. I wonder if you're still there or if you've gone. Are you hanging out with a friend and getting it on? Maybe you're just sitting around at home, reading a book or on the phone. Sometimes I wonder if you wonder what I'm doing too.
I think it's fine. I think it's like a lot finer than I thought. Let's keep going with these guitars.
I wonder what you're doing right now. Seem to keep.
They play here, the acoustic.
I'm trying to get some work done, but I ain't having much of a run, 'cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to.
I'm thinking where to pan this, because we got the organ that could easily be left to right, maybe like super wide. I don't know. I'm gonna mute it for now and try and see where the acoustic stands against the electric.
I'm trying to get some work done. I ain't having much of a run. My mind is wandering and wondering.
Feels to me as it should go right. I don't want it to be overwhelming the vocals, so I'm probably gonna cut somewhere around here. The 5.6 bell is great for, you know, not making the guitars like steel strings and stuff get against vocals.
I'm trying to get some work done. I ain't having much of a run. My mind is wandering and wondering.
So this is something not a lot of people do. Notice the points, the frequency points in the massive passive. I'm gonna help you out by making this thing as big as possible. So the air has a 5.6, 8.2, but the presence has a 4.7, 6.8. So what I'm doing here is I'm dipping the 5K6 with a bell, and I'm boosting the 6K8 with a shelf, and the acoustic guitar still sounds very open, very high quality, but it doesn't overwhelm the consonants and the lyrics of the singer, because it's super important. So we get this sort of a shape. Now, you might be wondering, why don't we take a look at what's happening here? Well, if I were to have the presence off, we wouldn't have this shelf. If I had the air off, we would have, it's not even translating to the graph. I mean, but remember, that's a +10, -10. It's just enough to free that place where the lyrics live. So as usual, I mean, I said, I don't like to look at the curves. So let's keep going.
I'm trying to get some work done. I ain't having much of a run. My mind is wandering and wondering.
So I think a 5.6 is better than the 820. I like the 820, but it's getting in the room sort of a scenario thing. So it sounds fine. So we have the electric somewhere. There's no effects. I want to define this space without having effects this far. Acoustic, we gotta see the 12. Well, there's a solo as well that's playing here. Oh, pretty much all the time. Who's this guy? This one here. All right, adventurous. Here we go. So we want to have drums, we want to have bass, we want to have vocals, and then I'm gonna kick in this solo part or the acoustic guitars. So electric. Now let's kick in the guitars as well.
I'm trying to get some work done. I ain't having much of a run. My mind is wandering.
So I like this, but let me double check the actual acoustic. Yes, because it's getting a little bit in the way. So I want to maybe make this a little tighter in Q.
I'm trying to get some work done. I ain't having much of a run. My mind is wandering.
It's more of a Helmholtz resonator, escape from Helmholtz resonator, sort of a Carpenter movie, right? Because if we get into those resonances, the massive passive being these wide and gentle in the curves, we're gonna get a little bit in trouble because there's a lot of frequencies kind of getting out of the Helmholtz that are resonating already. So we're over, highlighting that. The solo, I'm gonna do massive again and see what we can do. We're getting sort of a compression factor out of these for some reason. Must be the drive, probably.
I'm trying to get some work done. I ain't having much of a run. My mind is wandering and wondering what to.
I like this. There's no compression. What you're hearing, it doesn't quite work in your ears. As far, if you think about it the way I do, is that there's there's no effects blending things in, and there's a lot of dynamics in that solo that need to be carved. So we can do that actually right now after I'm done with the organ. I'm gonna create a new group, stereo. I'm gonna send these to all keys. I'm gonna hold these Hammond outside of folder, okay. And these dudes here, I'm gonna go to Hammond, and then these goes to all keys. These gotta have some kind of a darker purple, right? So we defeated these two, and now we're headed over to Hammond, which we're gonna send to keys anyway. And let's see, we can use a massive here. Pulsar Massive, no screen, all right.
I'm trying to get some work done. I ain't having much of a...
First parts was playing a lot. Now it's really blending in. I really like that it's stereo actually. I don't want to make it too heavy on the highs. Let's try this 5/6 again. Is this Hammond playing during lyrics? It seems to me as if they play the Hammond in contrast with the lyrics. So that's pretty fun, except in the very end. So let's try this, because we don't want to have the lyrics being overwhelmed, right, once again, by the grit of the Hammond.
How long I've been wondering about you. I'm starting to wonder how long I've been wondering about you. I'm starting to wonder how long I've been wondering about you.
It's the final part. Not the final countdown, but the final part. So I wouldn't mind. I hear that there's compression issues with the vocals. I mean, we haven't done any dynamics. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna define some of my mix bus. Do we have everything? Oh, the 12 we haven't done. 12, here we go.
A little bit anxious and jealous, nervous all at once. What you're thinking.
I just moved the benefits of being lazy. I just moved the acoustic to the 12. I'm thinking they've done the 12 with the same microphone setup in the same room of the acoustic, but they're different guitars. So if the recording engineer has done something nice with the positioning and with the guitars and everything, it doesn't hard to just have the same sort of EQ scenario, because the material is so different that the Massive here is gonna act as a different sort of translator compared to what we were doing with the acoustic guitar. And in fact, I mean, it works for me. So we got the 12 all the way left, the acoustic all the way right, bass in the center, and all this stuff. So I think this is quite fun and fine, and we should move on to different tasks or endeavors, which is the mix bus stuff. So let's head over the mix bus. Let's use a Mu here. Mu is, showing kind of the same traits that the Massive had in terms of color. You can tell it's a Pulsar plugin, and you got the meters on top with the VU or the real-time graph of gain reduction. You got the typical tooltips. I like oversampling at 4 times, disabling balloons, and disable static noise. Then you got the presets, and at the bottom you got the sidechain, which is kind of a newer thing if you are used to the real hardware piece of the Vari Mu the Manley makes. There's a nice look ahead or look behind, internal or external sidechain. And then you can fine tune what you want to listen or where you want the sidechain to concentrate on. In the center, there's the typical dual input or input gain that drives, the signal into the threshold for the Vari Mu. Control linking, mid side, left, right, link sidechain, dry, wet, and then the typical attack, release, and threshold, and the behavior of the plugin, which is also reminiscent of what the hardware does. You have a limit mode and comp mode, which are extremely different. So, you know, we gotta see what we wanna do with this. Then there's the output. Usually people drive things with the input and then move the threshold accordingly. I kinda like to stay up top here or have like the least threshold in the real unit and then fine tune things and then see if I wanna have a fast release or stuff. So I don't think there's presets here that I've saved. So we'll do one. Let's keep playing it from, wouldn't go and be biased by verse 1. I'm gonna try verse 2.
Wonder if you're still there or if you've gone.
So you see here what's going on, right? I'm already compressing. So I wanna try and for sure compress first. We're gonna probably use 2 instances of these. Internal sidechain's fine, but I wanna make sure I'm not getting compression, like this much compression. So maybe fastest, one from the fastest setting, compression mode, and then, you know, highest threshold until I get some kind of leeway. Obviously the harmonic content's changing because we're driving more signal. So it's different, getting the same gain reduction through threshold and dual input going backwards. It's gonna have different sounds to it.
Wonder if you're still there or if you've gone. Getting it on. Maybe you're just sitting around at home, reading a book or on the phone. Sometimes I wonder if you wonder what I'm doing too.
This sounds real good. Real good. Notice how different this can be because of the Vari Mu behavior from your typical VCA compressor. We're doing slow attack, slow release. It's a ballad kind of thing. It works so nicely, so nicely. I'm gonna keep these here. I thought I would do some sort of like EQing right now. I think it's a little bit too early to do it. What I wanna do is actually try and play with the drums a little bit, and I want to try not the Mu now, but the 1178 on the drum bus. I want to try and see if I can tame stuff. So here we go again. There's graphs. This is white or cream instead of being a blue. There's oversampling again. We might do maybe 4 times. Why not? And then balloons. There's balloons, yes. So what do we see here? Typical different things that are inserted into a nice plugin. This 1178 is a sort of a stereo unit of the 76. It sounds completely different, and it would be great to have in hardware form as well, even if you own, you know, a couple 76s or more. But the controls are kind of similar. You got 480, 12, 48, 12, 20, and all. And these are ratios that you find typically on 76s. You got attack, release, you know, working same way. Here you can also offset the side chain, and you can link or link controls. Listen again with the headphone buttons. I mean, the interface kind of speaks for itself. It's still a Pulsar plugin, easy to understand. But the saturation is where this plugin really sounds great, because you can decide what kind of, you know, grit you want to give to the unit, and you can calibrate the whole thing, because sometimes you're coming in too hot and it doesn't work. You can again hide stuff. I'm probably gonna hide it just because I'm so old school. Input and output and attack and release. No threshold, typical, and then a wet dry button. What I look for here is kind of a fast attack and sort of a fast release as well, but I want to capture some of the hits of the whole kit. So I don't want to go too deep into it, but you know, for this kind of genre, they put 1176s on it. So let's try with a 78.
Wonder if you're still there or if you've gone. Are you hanging out with a friend, getting it on? Maybe you're just sitting around at home, reading a book or on the phone. Sometimes I wonder if you wonder what I'm doing too.
So The starting preset was super nice. Oh my god, that was great. But I want to try and see if I get a little bit faster and like of a slower release. I don't know, maybe a little bit less input. 3 is really my reference point when I do this stuff on the 76s. So there's this spot here.
Getting it on. Maybe you're just sitting around at home, reading a book or on the phone. Sometimes I wonder if you wonder what I'm doing too. Wonder if you're feeling the same way that I am. Anxious and jealous.
I like this. Let's do a 78. Or actually, you know what? Let's do a Smasher on like a parallel thing. We call this Smasher. And we're gonna do it on the vocals because I think they could use this. So what I think I'm probably not using right now is the 300 maybe, or the tape. Well, tape I'm gonna use. So let's go Smasher. Why did I do it on the vocals? On the Hammond, it has to be on the vocals. Here, Smasher. We turn it on, and we sort of hear how this is gonna work. This is 100% now because we're like, you know, send retard. It's all buttons in plugin for an 1176 test, and it's just a one trick pony that works great on vocals on a lot of things. So let's try these on the vocals. We're sending the lead into the Smasher. I want to create some pillowing effect so that we don't actually sink down too much.
Are you hanging out with a friend, getting it on?
It works already. Now the trick is the needle goes to 20 and it stays, you know, glued to it. That's at least how I do it when I do 1176 all buttons in parallel for vocals. Let's try it without and with.
Are you hanging out with a friend?
Right? With.
Getting it on. Maybe you're just sitting around at home.
Sounds real good with no controls to touch. Now you heard some breathing that you do control with automation or gating or manual editing. So it's not a mistake. There's nothing to fix in the compressor. Don't fix the compressor just because of that breath, because that's something you do when you clean up stuff. Now, because we have more volume, we're kind of ready to build in the effects. And I would also mu this thing just a little bit on the vocals because I think it sounds kind of nice. I could even use these on the bass, but let's try and make this kind of nicer.
Are you hanging out with a friend, getting it on?
Want to try limit mode? Kind of be very fast, but just get a little bit of it.
Are you hanging out with a friend, getting it on? Maybe you're just sitting around at home, reading a book or on the phone. Sometimes I wonder if you wonder what I'm doing too. about behind those green eyes. Lord knows, tried to see through them many times.
I really like this. I think we could be even lighter, like sometimes, just sometimes when the vocals go a little bit too much, boom, we get that help that's not gonna overexcite the 78. The Smasher. It's not gonna, you know, the parallel compression, whatever you wanna call it.
Behind those green eyes. Lord knows, tried to see through them many times.
And now we're gonna do a Pulsar Mu on the guitar bus. This was a perfect spot where the solo was playing everybody, but we had no vocals here. It was actually here. All right, so I like this. Let's try and glue the guitars as well.
Harder done than said. Now I'm starting to wonder how long I've been wondering about you. Now I'm starting to wonder how long I've been wondering about you. I'm starting to wonder how long I've been wondering about you.
Nice. What else do we want to do? I would put another effect here. Maybe we don't need the parallel stuff. So I'm gonna just do this. Or let's ditch this for now and go with the Echorec. Because Pulsar Audio also makes a fantastic Echorec recreation. Look at how beautiful this thing is. And there's not many people, you know, doing this in the audio scene. So I'm gonna try this on the one and only this guy here. Let's call it its proper names, like Echorec, so that it's gonna inherit the name here. And the solo is gonna be this one. So I'm gonna dial the solo over the Echorec and then maybe share that setting with everything else. I'm gonna do it in solo just because, yes. I've done it on the, yeah, all right. Whoa, yeah, here. Sounds great, but not what we need. Sounds great. I usually like a little bit faster than this. Let's try if I found out the right one and then I drive it and whatever. You know, it's a real nice tune. It just tells you what to do rather than doing the opposite. Ooh, just a little bit more. Awesome. I know you want to hear it with everything, right? I'm gonna do this as well, LDV Echo. I wanna drive one as well for the lead, because I think it's gonna help a lot. But maybe with different settings, starting off from what we had. Notice what I've done. I actually lowered the output, but I don't want to change how much I'm feeding into the unit because it really saturates real nicely. So I'd rather have a post gain down rather than having, you know, the lead vocals coming in lighter into the unit, because then it doesn't saturate anymore. So, you know, it needs to saturate.
If you're feeling the same way that I am.
Sounds like reverb. It's so nice. Let's hear it in solo, even if it makes zero sense.
If you're feeling the same way that I am.
And we just need that. We could gate it, whatever. I really don't care. Let's try this. It's real nice. We got 2 vocals more. What else did I want to do? Maybe add some extra effects, but it's actually fantastic that it's not doing it doesn't feel dry, the record, anymore, just because of those 2 things, you know? So sometimes you don't need that much. Maybe a little bit of an overheads, maybe barn could help. I'm gonna try that. But what else do we want to do? Maybe bring in these 2 harmonies, making 3 vocals as well. So let's try this.
'Cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to.
All right, I'm gonna inherit this just because.
'Cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to.
I know, it's a cheaper version of what we're doing, but you know, it sounds cool. I'm gonna engage this just because I know it kind of works.
'Cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to.
Right, a little bit of a barn.
'Cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to.
Maybe stadium?
'Cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to.
No, leave it where it is. Let me hear drums now with the vocals.
'Cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to. 'Cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to.
Snare plate, maybe on the snare? Who knows?
'Cause my mind is wandering and wondering what you're up to.
All right, I've added some colors here and there. Sounding nice. Let me take these out and let's go to the final part. I mean, you know, we're mixing, not mixing, right? That's the excuse all the time. What else? I would try a massive passive here. Pulsar Massive on the whole record. And then we're gonna try a limit mode for the Pulsar Mu again. I'm actually gonna bring these up again. Right, so we got our mix bus post that compressor. right? So let me first disable these. This guy goes here. Here, I think we need all the oversampling we can get because we're, you know, end of the chain. Let's see how it works. I'm gonna try 3-3, which is kind of weird in this scenario, but it might sound great. It didn't quite work, but the 1.5 sounds awesome. I'm gonna keep this as is. Let's try this dude here. Limit mode, some of typical tricks on this guy when you put it on limit. So you see how, you know, we gotta stay low with the dual input, but it's kind of nice. I think it's real nice this way. Let's try the fastest. It's a little bit maybe too aggressive. I'm gonna stay on 3 and find the output and then take it from there. I'm gonna save these. Let's try another setting. I wanna be slower and gain up more and output down. Well, I call this mission a success. And the reason for this is that there's a lot of like little things that you would fix, but the core, as I usually say, is there. And we're not concentrating over weirdnesses of checking breaths or, you know, backing vocals a little bit too loud, parser down. We know that that is up to detailed work and it's fine. But these things really worked out for the better. And it's just 4 plugins, 5, whatever, used sparingly here and there. Some of them used methodically, actually. And one thing I want to point out about the mix is this. Notice how I low passed at 12K And a lot of people would find these counterintuitive, but on the Massive Passive, this really works well because you're pushing so many highs on the high registry of the air that you're reshaping the context. And do you really miss all those highs? I actually think it's taming the drums a little bit better without taking the detailed work that we've done out of the equation. And I struggled a little bit to find the right settings on the Vari Mu as I would do on the real manly Vari Mu, because you know, me and him, we don't really get along that much, but when we do, it sounds like this. And it has an empowering factor. The vocals sounded disconnected in comparison when the Mu on limit mode was out, and the guitars are more of a hugging force around the vocals. There's, I wouldn't say an oil sort of patina over the whole mix, but there's actually more texture somehow. It's kind of hard to describe. It's floating in a very modern, clean way, but you can hear sort of the tube behavior. I think the low registry, something else that I really like when you dial in the Vari Mu nicely on the real hardware on mixes, the bottom parts, the bottom registry of the mix is always carrying, always sustaining. And there's no sidechain work, it's just the harmonic factor of the unit. So these two together are now a workhorse. So good job. To whom? To everybody, you know, myself included. That was kind of a very cool mix. I hope you liked it, because I really like it for being just the work of 4 plugins. You know, it's not the gear, right? As usual, I hope this works out for the best for you in order to make your music sound even better, and I hope it was inspiring to just take a lot of these ideas to whatever you're gonna do now, in the close future nearby, or in the distant, who knows what's gonna happen, career of yours. Thank you very much for staying with me. See you next time. Ciao.